I know Catwoman because she is one of Batman's more interesting foes, but not her backstory. A movie in 2004 tried to tell Catwoman's story, or more precisely, a story about Catwoman, because comic book characters have a lot of iterations. Of course, like almost any hero movie, they also made a video game. And that is what I will be looking at today on the GameCube. The game starts with Catwoman stealing some jewelry and escaping from the cops, before we get a flashback. In the flashback, we see Catwoman before becoming Catwoman, showing her work to this sassy man.
Whatever.
He tells her to take the documents to a factory, where she accidentally overhears a scientist talking about a chemical that had terrible effects on people. Caught by the scientist eavesdropping, she was chased by a bodyguard. Trying to escape by the pipes, the bodyguard sees her and floods the pipe with her inside. With her body washing ashore, she either drowns and comes back to life, or just wakes up and becomes Catwoman. Now she is on a mission to find the reason they tried to, or did, kill her. I don't know which of the two. The only thing I don't understand is how she became Catwoman. Did the cat give her powers, or was there chemicals in the water which mutated her? If it's the latter, that is a boring origin story. Chemicals? That is super cliche. But if it's the former, what is that cat? Who is that cat? Is that Sabrina's cat? Because I love that cat. The game is a platformer with some beat 'em up elements. Controlling Catwoman is not the best. Her jumps feel a little bit stiff, but nothing that someone can't get used to. The problem lies with the camera of the game. It's a fixed camera angle. I had to get a protractor to align myself before these jumps. They are very precise. Each time I made a jump, my heart stopped mid-jump. Levels are confined to small areas, meaning that if you fall, you will have to start them all over. There are these small doors you can open that act as checkpoints, so you don't have to do everything again. But the platforming is slow, having to prepare for every jump, and all these slow gate climbing. Levels in the game look dull. It makes sense for a lot of the levels to look dull because of the setting they're in. But some of them don't even have music, just the ambient sounds of cars passing by. Even things you have to interact with look like background objects. Hunter mode fixes this by giving the player a first person mode that highlights all the interactable objects. This mode is also crucial to find your way around the map, since you can only pan the camera left and right. This is the only way to look freely and get a sense of the level's layout. Catwoman also has the ability to climb any wall that the game lets her. This is used to reach high areas, but mainly to jump off the wall. It's interesting because you can also angle her jump to go diagonally in a direction. But it's also annoying that in order to get off the wall, a player has to press down and jump. Meaning there are moments when you do something you don't want to. The combat in this game is stupid. You have to use the second analog stick to attack. Or in my case, the GameCube controller's nipple. Using the nipple makes Catwoman use her whip, which doesn't do anything to the enemies, but it does let the player interact with objects. It lets you flip switches and throw things at enemies. If the player switches to the cat stand, the C stick lets the player kick enemies. You can punch enemies by being close to them and using the C stick, but the kicks let you attack them further. Enemies do not have a life bar. Kind of. The two ways to defeat them is by throwing them into a trap by kicking them into it, or making them run away. If you beat on the enemies, they will turn yellow, meaning they are afraid of you. Continue hitting them and they will run away. Little bitches. I wish I could have skipped all the enemies since they're not hard or fun to fight. They're all pushovers. They literally stay down for 2 seconds each time you hit them, and you have to wait until they get back up to hit them again. The only enemies that might give you trouble are the ones with guns in a group, but there is an easy fix to that. Besides just letting you progress the game, enemies give you points. These points can be earned in many different ways and are used to unlock abilities. Most of them are completely useless, except for the one that lets you disarm enemies. There's even one called Dominatrix that is supposed to give you a boost or something of that nature, but I can't activate it. I bought the skill, and no matter how many times I pressed the button, it never activated. The developers forgot to code it in the game. Not like it matters anyways, because the game is super easy. I never try to get points because I had to go out of my way to get them, and usually meant doing some slow platforming I already did again. And I don't think anyone wants to do platforming with these controls. Let me explain. Here's the control scheme for this game on the GameCube. The L button is used to go into cat stands, to kick in combat or climb walls. Z is for hunter or first person mode. The C stick is for attacking. Now, for jumping. The main mechanic of the game. The thing you will be doing the entire game. I know what you're thinking. If the game is a platformer, the button has to be A. It's the main thing you do in this game, so let's give it the biggest and most convenient button on the controller. Wrong. Try again. Well, it's B then. Not the biggest button, but the second most prominent on the controller. Good guess, but no. Then it must be either X or Y. And nope, it's R. The R button. The fucking R button. The controller has 4 face buttons, and they didn't think to use any of them? None of them were used. None of them. Some buttons have multiple uses. Why not use some other buttons? Instead of pressing the C stick to punch only when you're near the enemy, why not use B? L and C stick to kick? Use the X button in a direction instead. I understand that using fewer buttons could have made it easier for some people, but it doesn't help when now I have to press 2 buttons to do one thing. The game has too many mechanics to constrain it to so few buttons. Even by the end of the game, I was still having problems with these controls. It's like they defy all logic I had accumulated from other games. The story starts to unravel that the woman from the beginning is the one calling the shots, and she kills the sassy man. No! It's all taken from the movie, and from what I hear, the movie wasn't that great. So you can imagine how interesting it's told here. Just look at this one scene. Perfect. The last boss fight is against the woman, and then we kiss the guy. After beating the game, there isn't much to do. You can play the game again, and try to unlock all the images in the gallery. Or you can just go to the vault and type in 1940, the year that Catwoman debuted in the Batman comics, and unlock it all. From my diagnosis of Catwoman, the side effects of playing this game are fixed camera angle, confusing button layout, bland environment, easy enemies, boring combat. My prescription to you of this game is to never play it. The Game Boy version of this game looks more fun than this one, as long as you don't jump with R. Hello and welcome to the end of this video. If you have any thoughts about this episode, let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't be afraid to ask this doctor if a certain game is right for you. But as always, my lovely patients, thank you so much for watching, and tune in next time.